They thought we were children playing with sticks, staring up at the stars with wide eyes and fragile toys. To them, Earth was nothing more than a backwater ripe for conquest, irrelevant to the great game of empires. But when the mighty Zapiran navy arrived, they didn't find apes fumbling with rockets. They found something else, something patient, something hidden, something that had been waiting. And in a single moment, the so-called primitives turned the galaxy's predators into prey. If that opening gave you chills, stick around, because this story only gets wilder. And hey, if you're into tailies where humanity flips the script and proves the galaxy wrong, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more HFY stories, and share this with a friend who loves sci-fi. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Admiral Kethavar of the Zapiran Empire adjusted the polished plates of his ceremonial armor, his four eyes narrowing on the small blue-green world turning slowly beneath him. Earth, planet so unremarkable it was barely a footnote in their star charts. Its inhabitants? Primitive bipeds still crawling around in chemical rockets, firing projectiles like cave dwellers flinging stones. To the Zapirians, this was no war. It was a reclamation. A trivial system to be folded neatly into their empire, because it sat at a hyperspace junction too valuable to ignore. 300 warships, the pride of their navy, hung behind him, gleaming in formation like a wall of suns. Against that, humanity was nothing more than an inconvenience. Reports trickled in. Humans divided into nations, constantly fighting each other, still clinging to combustion engines and crude electronics. Laughter rattled through the bridge crew at the thought of these apes daring to stand against them. Kethavar allowed himself a cruel smile. It would be quick, he thought. One rotation of their planet, one warning, and the natives would scatter like frightened insects. After all, what could a primitive species possibly do against a civilization that had shattered worlds? The bridge lights dimmed as a holographic transmission flickered to life. Against the void appeared the image of a human female, middle-aged, dressed in a military uniform that looked almost laughably plain compared to the ornate armor of the Zapirians. "This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Defense Force," she said evenly, her eyes fixed on Kethavar. "You have entered our system without permission. State your intentions." The words drew a chorus of amusement from the Zapirian officers. Defense Force. How quaint. Kethavar himself chittered with laughter as he leaned forward. "Primitive creature," he replied, voice dripping with disdain. "Your system belongs to the Empire now. You have one rotation to evacuate, or we will remove you." But Chun's expression didn't flinch. No fear, no outrage. Just steady, deliberate calm. "I'm afraid that's not acceptable, Admiral. Withdraw your forces immediately." The bridge erupted with derisive laughter. Withdraw? Against them? Kethavar scoffed. "Child, we command weapons that could crack your planet's crust. Your toys cannot harm us." Then Chun leaned closer, her voice carrying a strange, almost pitying edge. "You've made one critical mistake, Admiral. You assumed primitive meant." "Stupid." Kethavar barked for the attack to begin, eager to silence the insolence. But before his fleet could fire, every star in the sky vanished. Not dimmed, vanished. A perfect sphere of absolute darkness swallowed the heavens, as if the universe itself had been erased. Panic rippled across the bridge. Systems flickered, sensors went blind, and officers scrambled at their consoles. "Admiral, our instruments are useless. Electromagnetic radiation is being absorbed by something," one shouted, mandibles trembling. "Impossible," Kethavar roared. "No species could—" A new transmission cut him off. Admiral Chun appeared again, but this time she stood against a backdrop that made even Kethavar's seasoned mind reel. Crystalline towers shimmered, bending space itself. Energy patterns twisted reality like molten glass. "Allow me to explain," Chun said, her voice calm, unhurried. What you're experiencing is not weakness. It's restraint. Through the viewports, the Zapiran fleet now hung frozen in the dark. Every warship cocooned by the same light-devouring field. Their weapons meant nothing. Their numbers meant nothing. Chun's words echoed like a hammer blow. We've been preparing for this moment for centuries. While you saw rockets and rifles, our true work was hidden. In places you cannot even perceive. The display split, flooding the Zapiran bridge with impossible schematics. Networks of quantum entanglement stretched like glowing veins across the galaxy. Weapons that could twist the very constants of physics. Machines that drank dark matter as fuel and bent time like it was clay. Kethavar's 4 hearts hammered as the sheer scale of it overwhelmed him. Chun's voice carried no malice, only certainty. While your empire stagnated in uniformity, humanity thrived in chaos. Every nation, every culture, every rivalry, we competed, argued, and forced each other to innovate. What you called division was our greatest strength. Outside, the veil shifted. Massive structures materialized across the solar system, rings of energy coiled around planets. Titanic stations hidden between folds of dimensions. They had been invisible to every Zapiran sensor, revealed now only because humanity chose to reveal them. Kethavar stared at his tactical screen. His warships 300 strong, now little more than insects trapped in a spider's web. Weapons that could split continents hung useless against technology that ignored the very laws of nature. And then Chun delivered the final blow. We never showed our true hand because we wanted to see who would come. And now, Admiral, you've come. Silence gripped the Zapiran bridge. For the first time in his career, Admiral Kethavar felt fear. His weapons, his fleet, his entire empire reduced to irrelevance in the span of minutes. He wanted to rage, to fight, but the truth pressed down heavier than any gravity well. Chun's eyes locked on his, her words like iron. This is your choice, Admiral. Withdraw and tell your empire that humanity will not kneel, or test our restraint further. The word restraint hung in the air. Not threat, not promise, restraint. The implication was worse than annihilation. Humanity had the power to destroy them utterly, and chose not to. Kethavar gave the only order he could, retreat, and as his fleet was gently, irresistibly pushed out of the solar system, the question haunted him. How do you explain to your people that the primitives had just crowned themselves apex predators of the galaxy? Back on Earth, Chun allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Humility, she whispered. That will be our greatest gift to the stars. And that is how the so-called primitives of Earth shattered the arrogance of an empire without firing a single visible shot. It wasn't brute force. It wasn't blind luck. It was patience, secrecy, and the kind of creativity only chaos can breed. Humanity wasn't weak. We were just waiting. If you enjoyed this HFY story and want more tailies where humans flip the galactic script, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow sci-fi fan. Because trust me, the galaxy isn't ready for what we have next.